Hey folks, good morning. Got this question from a follower who goes by Joe. Thank you, Joe, for your question. Sorry about the shaking camera. I got dogs fighting underneath me. So, what happens when the grid goes and no freezer? Well, if you're prepping the right way and if you're thinking it through, right? Remember, I've said before, prep thoughtfully, not in a panic. You should, one, have other types of food. You should have freeze-dried food, canned food, food you can cook with a camping stove or propane or butane. But you should also have alternative power sources. For example, a gas or dual fuel generator, gas and propane. You can also get a solar generator like a Jackery. Now remember, the running voltage on a chest freezer like the Arctic King that I have is only 115 watts. It's not very high. But the startup, when it kicks on, is 250 or 300, and it's just over the capacity of my small Jackery. So I actually have a larger one. But I have solar panels, I'll set it out in the sun. So I have ways of plugging it in. Now remember, and this is important to think about, if you have whether it's a generator or a solar generator, or maybe you have a wind turbine that's feeding maritime batteries with an inverter, basically a wind generator, you don't have to have the freezer plugged the whole time, right? Especially the chest freezers, they stay colder because the cold air goes down, right? So it only opens from the top, whereas a upright freezer, you open and all the cold air comes out. You kind of see what I'm saying? But you don't have to plug it in all the time. So you bring the Jackery in, or whatever your solar setup is, or your wind setup. You bring your battery pack in, plug in the freezer for 30 minutes, get it to temperature. When it turns off, that means it's now frozen again. Unplug it and bring it back 2 hours, and bring your Jackery outside and plug it back in to let the sun charge it again. You kind of see what I'm saying? So you can use the generator, you can use your Jackery. You can use, other setups like the wind generator I talked about, but you can plug these things in, and you don't have to leave them plugged in the whole time, right? If you listen to your fridge and freezer, it turns on, it gets cold, and it turns off for a while. Then it turns on. So you just have to be really disciplined about plugging it in frequently enough to keep everything frozen. And I would hit the frozen food first if the grid went down, because that's what's going to go bad first. Then go to my canned goods, then go to my long-term preps. You kind of see what I'm saying? So I hope I answered your question. I know it was kind of a long answer, but it was a very valid question, and it's something people really need to think about. Have the diversity of food and the diversity of power. You guys take care. Thank you, Joe, again for your question. You guys stay safe.